Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start the show by being transparent. And I haven't, this is new, but haven't done a show this week. In all honesty, Monday, I think I was a little bit gone from the EDC weekend, and I totally forgot to do a show, and haven't done one since then. So we'll get back to regular scheduled programming, but the streak I had did come to an end. Won 16 in a row, but we're still doing all right. I think I don't have. I didn't even play the last NBA game or the one prior, so nothing to update there. There's been a 4-1 start to WNBA, so we still have been hot in the NBA playoffs and a nice start to WNBA. So we'll try to keep that going. Rob, it's been a little while since I've talked to you. How's everything been going for you?
Well, I was on NBA cruise control as well the last time we talked, and then game 3 of Lakers Nuggets happened, and that all came to a screeching halt. Did not turn out well in that one. I was all over the Lakers. Kind of wrecked all my series bets too. I mean, Denver ends up winning, but not in the 6 or 7 that I thought. A couple of bad days in the NBA. Then the bounce back happened. So we've been good the last couple. And look to continue on here, Skee. So it's kind of a rebuild project now. We're starting up another little streak here with this remaining series and the remaining NBA Finals still to come, beginning June 2nd. So we'll see what we can do with it. It was nice while it lasted, and it produced quite a bit of profit. But boy, that game 3 back home in LA, whatever day that was not a great one.
Yeah, I thought I could just get past that, Rob. Thanks for the reminder. But yeah, the Lakers embarrassed me pretty bad. Had a lot of bets on them as far as the series. Had a future on them to win it all, plus 2,200. All of them came crashing and burning. So Lakers were actually the team that ended my 16-game winning streak. So go figure.
Go
Um,
for,
we're done with the Lakers though. We won't talk about them anymore for the
right.
remainder of the playoffs. Let's see a couple more comments here. Looks like a lot of people are liking the Heat. What up, Hank? Says hit the like button. It would help us out if you guys are, liking the show. Saturated looking for some WNBA plays. We'll get to WNBA first. This is the first person I've seen liking Boston. He says Boston on an alternate line. So we'll see. We'll talk about that. Adam, I appreciate you. And Mike says, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. He says EDC was lit. It absolutely was. There was a lot of things to do this past weekend. Um, so my bad, you guys. I forgot about the Monday show. My mind was all over the place. Jay says Heat need to finish this series, catch my plus 430 series already. Line is sus though today. I don't like the line either. I agree, but I understand it. And Ryan says, where's favorite pair on Wager Talk? I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. And real quick, L says, Rob, is that Oxford Blue?
We'll generically go with dark blue today. So if you're any version of dark blue, you're right. Navy blue, Oxford blue, I don't know. But dark blue is a winner today.
There we go. That was the only guess we had today. Maybe it's because we haven't been on for a while, but you're correct with your Oxford Blue. Let's get into a little bit of actionable info for today. We'll start in the W. And actually, I should get these banners up here. I got to get back to regular scheduled programming here, Rob. We'll go Lynx at the Mercury, Minnesota at Phoenix. Open Mercury -2.5. We see them pretty much -3 everywhere. Total open 166.5, down as low as 161. As far as the injury report is concerned, Minnesota will still be without Natalie Achonwa. Phoenix, Skylar Diggins-Smith is going to continue to be out for a while because she just had a baby, and they're still missing Shea Petty. 2 guards, who are really important for this Phoenix Mercury team, and it's very hard for me to look at backing them, especially without Skylar Diggins-Smith, but really with both of them. That last game for Phoenix, first game for Brittany Griner, whatever the case may be there, or even the first home game for her, like I really wanted to try to bet on that and just think that they'll come out and play hard and get the win for her. I didn't end up betting it, thankfully, and it didn't end up happening. Now I think this Phoenix team, like I said, I struggle to want to bet them without the two players that I said. But I do think they want to play hard and get a home win, especially for Brittany Griner. And this is the prime position for them to do it versus a Minnesota team who just hasn't really looked that good lately. They did just play the other day as well. So what I like for Phoenix here, the situation that sets up for them, they are the favorite. They're at home, where home court is even more of an advantage in the W. They got the rest advantage, and they don't play again. For I think it was 5 days, and Minnesota plays again in a couple days versus the Aces. So you can go all out in this kind of a situation when you're already more rested, and you have 5 days to rest after this game. That's the situation Phoenix is in, and they're desperate for a win versus Minnesota, who not playing good basketball, playing every other day, and that's to play the champs again in a couple of days. I just think this sets up for a Phoenix win at the house. So Mercury -3 is the way I decided to go in this one. The total coming down from 166.5 down to 161, I would agree with, just because until those guards come back for Phoenix, really until Skyler comes back for them, I don't think they're really an over kind of team. And Minnesota, I don't really see them as an over team either. So I agree with the total coming down. You're just getting the ass end of the line. So I would play Phoenix at the current numbers. Any opinion on what I said there, Rob?
Yeah, I would agree. And I'm trying to pay somewhat strict attention here, Ski. The Lynx, I think when we talked last week or when the season was just opening and you were talking, they opened up with a game against Chicago, who I think they were favored against. Don't have the number in front of me, but I think they were favored. Lose at home, come back, lose at home again. So you got a Minnesota team on the road for the first time that lost two winnable games at home, right? The Sky and Atlanta should have been at least winnable games. Didn't win either. Both stayed under this number that we're looking at tonight. And I watched, you know what? Saturday Ski, I could have gone 2-0 in WNBA, but I didn't text you, so I didn't play. Thought maybe Dallas was right. They played Atlanta, so I got to see them a little bit. And then the Aces played Seattle that night and beat them by like 41 points. But from what I saw of the Dream, they seem to be one of the teams that's going to be up and down and score a lot of points. That being said, when Minnesota played them at home, that game only got to 160. And I don't think the Mercury are anywhere near the offensive outburst type team that Atlanta is at this point in time, at least. So maybe the total under is correct. But like you say, bad end of the stick here, only getting 161. I'd agree with everything you said. I think Mercury's probably correct here at home, seeing Minnesota lose two winnable games at home already. They can't be trustworthy. And maybe under still holds very, very slim value. But if you got it early, congratulations. That was probably the right side.
Absolutely. We're on the same page here, and I'd love to see that. So let's move on over to the next game on the slate. That will be 6:55, 6:56. Las Vegas Aces heading into LA to take on the Sparks. This game opened Aces -4.5, all the way up to -13 right now. Total open 170.5, and we're looking at 171 as a consensus. For the Sparks, still no Azure Stevens. Jasmine Thomas doesn't look like she's going to be available either. And for the Aces, they'll be without Raquana Williams. So this game, I just feel like, well, for one, I can't bet the Aces at the current number. I'll just mention that right off the bat. I just feel like, I'm not into taking games after they've already moved 9 points and, just jumping on that side. That's just not good betting practice. So at the current number, if Sparks or pass, I understand why the number moved that big because the Aces want to come out and win these first couple games for Becky Hammond because she's suspended. And they're a team that's more than capable of winning by margin. So I understand it. I just think that this Sparks team is taking a jump from last year to this year. New head coach. I think he'll have everybody playing really well over there, and they're at home. So lean towards the Sparks. As far as the total, I think it's an overtype game. One, because both of these teams are really rested. They both have 4+ days rest. And we know the way the Aces want to play basketball. It's going to be up tempo. And they have a lot of people who are capable of putting the ball in the basket. So I like it from their side. And the Sparks are a team who I think want to play with pace as well. I mean, they put up 95 points in the game versus a team who didn't want to run at all. Um, I think versus a team who actually wants to get up and down, they'll continue to have another good offensive output. And with Jordan Canada being over there, I think she likes to play in transition and play up tempo. So I just think both teams are going to want to play a little bit faster tonight. And I like the over 171 here tonight. Any opinion from you, Rob? Aces versus Sparks.
Yeah, it's probably the only way that I would look in this particular game. I did catch some of that Brittany Griner first game in LA, and you're right. LA wants to, whether it was the opponent and they thought they could run on them, or whether that's a team philosophy to go. They did go that night. They scored 94, and I don't think you can play the Aces any other way. They look like 100 waiting to happen. And now the other team, the other night, Seattle. No more Brianna Stewart, right? No more Sue Bird. Obviously, they're decimated. They're a shell of what Seattle used to be. But still, they got to 105 and made it look really, really easy. So I'd have a hard time playing aces under just off of that. That's based on one game of me starting to pay attention. So please, if you're listening out there, don't take what I'm saying as gospel truth, because I'm just getting into the waters as well. But from what I saw and knowing a little bit about basketball and how it's played, it looks to me like two up-tempo teams. And the favorite here looks like offensively, I don't know if you can stop them. Obviously, I'll wait and watch a couple more because Seattle, like I say, is a shell of their former selves. Where the side is concerned, Skee, you're right. I mean, 4-13. Does $50 move the line in WNBA? 4-13 is crazy.
It will
Not
move
that.
the line. Just on that note, really quick, when these lines open, like when they open early, they only let you put $250 on them. They just want to know, the people who actually watch the game, what's the right side to bet so we can move this number.
Right.
That's all they do.
Yeah, odds makers letting the market set the number for them. Let's just throw something out there, put limits on, and then once that number gets established, then we can raise it a little bit. But yeah, you got to get there early. And if we continue to talk WNBA throughout the season, which I think we will, Skee, here on the show, we'll try and point you in the right direction as fast as we can. At least Skee will, because getting there late doesn't seem to be real helpful in WNBA.
Yep, you got to know what you want the night before and jump on it. So, I think this is I might start doing some night shows on the channel or something like that, just to try to help people get ahead or, get an
Mm-hmm.
idea of where to look for in WNBA. So I'll figure that kind of deal out. Just bear with me, and I'll get them coming very soon. DB says, Ski, any WNBA player props you like? Adrian Wilson over 18 and a half. I didn't even know WNBA player props were available. I mean, I never really see them myself until, right before the game. But um, I don't think she has the best matchup today. I'd probably want to play more on Chelsea Gray, just playing against her older team. I think, whether it's assists or points, I'm not quite sure where the numbers are. I just think I would want to trust her. And I want to go with the narrative in this one. I think they'll play hard for Hamby and the Sparks, and she'll be able to do a little bit something on her end too. So those would be the players that I would look for in this one. And DB says WNBA player props are available at FanDuel. Appreciate you shouting that out. Um, Good stuff on WNBA. Let's move on over. We'll talk some NBA now, and we only have one game now every single day. So, Rob, I'm gonna go to you really quick.
Yeah.
Before we even break down this individual game, I want to ask you, based on the last game, you know, did that change? Like, do you think Boston has, or maybe this can lead you into this first game with the Heat? I mean, with the Celtics as an 8.5 point favorite, total of 215. But do you think the Celtics found something? Do you think the Celtics flipped a switch? Is it possible for them to be the first team to come back from down 0-3? You think they're going to go out swinging? Like, did they gain any of your trust again? Is what I want to know after that last game.
Well, myself aside, I think that what they gained is a little bit of confidence back in themselves that they could actually win a game, right? Because when we saw them game three, I know I mentioned this on another show. Jaylen Brown, when the bench was being unloaded in the fourth quarter, exited the game toward the bench. And I don't know who it was, maybe Sam Hauser, one of the subs, asked him who he had, who he was covering. And Jaylen Brown's reaction was priceless. It was just like a hand wave, like, cover whoever the fuck you want. I don't care. He just looked like he was done with Boston Celtics basketball. And that's why heading into game 4, so many figured this is a done deal. Boston doesn't even believe in themselves anymore. So if nothing else, they gained confidence back. They played a really good second half. They were down at halftime. They found a way to come back. They scored 66 second half points. The offense clicked again. So whether or not everything's back, I'm not sure, Skee, but confidence is a huge thing in these games, right? All of a sudden, now you're back home and you feel like you're the better team again. So maybe they found that. Where matchups are concerned, I tell you what, the Gabe Vincent injury news this morning just basically changed everything for me. And it's one of these situations that I really like, Skee, because I feel like Gabe Vincent being announced out, let's just look at it from his position, right? At point guard, Miami has enough. That's one spot where they have depth. You can stick Kyle Lowry in there. You can stick Duncan Robinson in there, and they can cover point guard. However, they're nowhere near the defenders that Gabe Vincent is. Gabe Vincent's a really good defender, one of the best on Miami. He's got the length and height to handle Marcus Smart and whoever else that Boston has got out at the top of the circle. And so for me, I like these situations where a good defender comes out of the game and the people behind him can still play offense but aren't as good defensively. Why do I like it? Because the total comes down. And people automatically, Gabe Vincent's not playing. We got to get to under. They haven't really gotten too much to Boston yet or the under, but the Boston Celtics team total came down. Miami's team total came down by half a point in some spots. And I just feel like the trouble for Miami tonight is on the defensive end, Skee. The depth is shy. You're already without Hero and Oladipo for the past however many games. Now you add Gabe Vincent to the list. Talking about maybe 7 tops, dependable guys you could throw in there. Coach Spoelstra has a lot to deal with here today, and a confident Boston team against a depth-shy Miami team, and especially defensively, it leads me to, some overs here. I think the game could get over because I still think Miami can score. We've been through this 100 times, but they've gotten over 103.5, 12 of the 13 playoff games. So can they get to that number? Probably. Because as I just mentioned, the guys that are going to replace Vincent, Lowry, and Duncan Robinson, they can score. So I don't have any problem there. But Boston's scoring should be increased tonight as well. So 215 might be doable. Boston team total 111.5, I feel like is really doable. Miami team total is always doable. So the absence of Gabe Vincent to me has only added to my looks at the total in a lot of aspects in this game, even player prop totals. I mean, who's Lowry going to guard? Marcus Smart might be a good prop play tonight, PRA. Might get more clean looks over a 6-foot guy than he did over 6'5" Gabe Vincent. I look at it that way. Boston should, if they have any heart, and I think they do, and I think the home crowd will help them tonight, they should win this one and send it back to South Beach. And then the series becomes a real series. We'll see how long Vincent's out for, whether it's only one game or not. But certainly that's the way I'd look. I think that Gabe Vincent injury defensively to Miami, which is not a great defensive team to start with, but I think that really hurts. I think that's one guy they couldn't afford to lose defensively.
So I disagree here, Rob. I disagree. And what I'm thinking here is we just finally, I mean, this is the first game we saw Boston be able to hold the Heat under 100 points, and they got the job done. Um, I think you got to be able to build on that defensive performance that you just had. Um, I know they're capable of it defensively. It's just if they're going to give the effort. And you hear Jaylen Brown talking about they didn't want to, seem like they quit. And, they came out there more so in the second half and were acting like it. You saying they found a little bit more confidence. I mean, I think the result is they got to show up defensively to win this game. And I just think that's what we're going to see. And on the flip side for Miami, even without Vincent there, I mean, Miami Heat play great team defense. And if they're going to have a chance in this game, it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to be by outscoring the Boston Celtics, especially all the players that Miami Heat are down. So I just think that they try to play it at a slower pace, and I think that they have some adjustments that they're going to make on the defensive side. So I trust Coach Spo to have something for that Boston offense tonight, and I trust Boston to see why they won that game and continue to do it. So I like under the 215 or 215 and a half. And also just thinking like, games 5 through 7, that's where you get the most intensity out of all of them. So later we get in the series, the more I lean towards under. So we disagree there, Rob. As far as the side, I understand why it's this big of a number for the Celtics. He banged up like they are. Celtics at home, back against the wall, et cetera, et cetera. But they're just not the kind of team that I can trust to lay 8.5 points with and, sleep well at night if I lose that ticket. I can only look towards grabbing the plus points with the Heat. I think they're still live to win this game. As long as you have Jimmy Butler out there playing the way he's been playing, as long as you have a coach like Spo, I think you're live. So it's Miami or pass for me. You disagree with that?
Well, there's a couple of lines of thinking there, right, Skee? And that's why we can bounce it back and forth. Miami trying to play slow and Miami being able to play slow against an up-tempo team in their building is, questionable. They'll try. Boston won't try. Boston will want to run. I think the reason why Duncan Robinson never made the floor for I don't know how many games in regular season. He was a DNP forever until this round of the playoffs. The reason why he doesn't get on the floor is because he can't defend, not because he can't score. I mean, if you want points, put him in. If you want to give up points, put him in. So I think he just adds to point scoring. Kyle Lowry's minutes have been limited all season long because he can't really go that hard, that long anymore. So all these question marks for Miami on the defensive end leads me to believe Boston can score big here. And Miami's going to have to score a little bit if they're going to be in the game. So, I mean, if they can turn it into a slow down fest, a slow paced game, good for them on an away floor. I don't doubt, to tell you the truth, Ski, I don't doubt that they'll score because they still have scorers on the floor. And Bam Adebayo has been absent for a couple of well, maybe it's time to call him Scam again because he's been absent for a couple of games. But he was playing really, really well. I think he'll probably come back here. We know Jimmy. We'll see how it goes. I don't think we disagree as much as you think. Maybe I'm being a little deceiving, protecting the plays that I'm selling over at Wager Talk today. But when we get to best bet segment, I'll give one of them away.
All right, fair enough. Let me ask you about player prop. And we got Jay Money in the chat. He says Heat better hope Vincent is ready for Game 6. Vincent is a big deal. I would want him to be out there for sure. But player prop wise, I haven't been too heavy on it. But my initial thoughts were Jimmy Butler over his assists. If it was somewhere like 6.5 or 5.5, I just think, I think he's had 6+. It was 5.5. He's had 6+ 5 of his last 7 games. So I just like him to continue really doing everything for Miami. On the flip side, and maybe even Bam assists. Somebody in here mentioned that they could have him running point guard like we've seen him do before. Maybe Bam rebounds plus assists could be a look for Miami. On the Boston side, I think, with Brogdon kind of banged up, maybe looking at his points under. Any of those props stand out to you or any props that you were looking at, Rob?
Well, when Vincent went out, I immediately went to the Boston guards, and especially the ones that play point. Derek White has been one of my favorites in this, just playing his points. But the odds maker took me out of the ball game here today because Derek White, his point total when I was winning was 8.5, and now it's up to 12.5. So that kind of sits me down a little bit, although he's more than capable. He's been one of the best 3-point shooters on Boston's side this entire series. He's been consistent. He's been dependable. And then I went to Marcus Smart, just thinking that Marcus Smart now has a huge advantage in all categories, whether it be points, rebounds, or assists against Kyle Lowry, against Duncan Robinson. So perhaps Marcus Smart PRA, he always fills three statistical categories. Even if he's bad shooting, he shoots enough volume and he does do enough in the other two categories to always get you near. I think what the number is 22.5. The other one you said, I totally agree that Bam Adebayo has to have a big game here and show up again. And he's more than capable. So I could look his way in some capacity. But for me, the first look was towards these Boston guards. And I think the one that I really like as far as numbers are concerned is Marcus Smart to do the job here at home. He's the I don't know. For those who go back far enough, you'll remember the Boston teams with Larry Bird and Kevin McHale, where ML Carr was the guy on the sidelines, always waving the towel, the annoying guy, but the fire plug, the spark for the team. And I just feel like that's what Marcus Smart's always been, the spark. And if they get going, I think it'll be because he generates the fuel. So Smart and Adebayo, yes. Derek White I like, but the odds maker has gotten me off of that.
All right, a couple players to look at there. Um, I feel like we did a really good job on this game. I don't have any baseball to talk about, Rob. I know you might have a couple games you're looking at, and we do have about 10 minutes or so. Is it cool to move over to MLB?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So let me just throw up the generic MLB banner, and I know you were looking at San Diego and Washington. We have Blake Snell versus Irvin. Snell and San Diego, close to a $2 favorite here. Um, do we really want to be laying that kind of a price for Blake Snell?
Yeah, I played at first five ski and I threw in the run line too to chop away at price. So I played first five minus half a run. Blake Snell, I think I laid 20 cents to do so, minus 120. Um, Snell's ERA of recent times, a little bit of a mirage because his whip is so different. He's given up bad hits at bad times. He hasn't gotten defensive support at times, but he's certainly been the better pitcher than Irvin. Irvin's been extremely hittable, where Snell has not been extremely hittable. And San Diego has a lineup that should be able to get a couple early off of him. So I figured Snell for first five is probably the right way to go. I don't want to get involved in San Diego bullpen ski. And to tell you the truth, full game, San Diego hasn't been scoring enough for me to trust them full game. I think they can get a couple early off this particular pitcher, which will help Blake Snell out. I think our buddy Ralph Michaels had a pretty nice stat over the last 10 games. The Padres are 2-8 under the total. So if you like that, certainly the trends are going that way. But the starting pitcher for Washington, Irvin, wouldn't want me to get to the under very quickly in this game. So again, I think you got the better pitcher whose numbers are just a little bit out of whack right now. He's not necessarily putting guys on base. He's doing his job. But when he does put them on base, he's giving up that crucial hit. Hopefully that doesn't happen today because I think San Diego's lineup will do enough against Irvin here. 4:00 start, I think, on the East Coast, 1:10 Pacific. So if you guys want to get to that game, it's only a couple hours away. You want to get there fairly quickly. It's not a night game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Irvin, his last three starts, 6.59 ERA. Snell hasn't been great either, 5.62. In the chat, Wilbur says the over in this game. I heard you mention some understats, but
Yeah, that
I
was
don't.
Ralph had like a 2-8 number on that last 10 for the Padres.
Hmm. This is a game that makes me kind of uncomfortable. I can't lie. Um, I would want to probably fade both of these pitchers if I was getting involved here. So I would likely be looking towards the over, maybe against what Ralph had going there. But Rob, a little bit more of the San Diego side. Um, the other game, Rob, was the Mets and Chicago, right? Carrasco versus Hendricks.
Hmm.
I don't see a start yet for Hendricks this year. I'm assuming this is his first one. But for Carrasco, um, on the season, 8.68 ERA. Last three starts, 14 innings pitched, 7.98 ERA. Is this a guy that we're fading? Are we fading both of them because it's Kendrick's first start as well? How are you looking to play Mets and Cubs?
Yeah, we played over 8, and then it went to 8.5. So if you want to lay a lesser vig, I don't even know if eights are available anymore, Ski. But the only reason that this game, at least from what I could dig up, that it even stayed at 8 all morning long here on the East Coast was because there's wind blowing in at Wrigley. I think I saw 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight in at Wrigley tonight. And as soon as you see wind blowing in, people are going to cling to the under. But you got two guys here. Kyle Hendricks hasn't pitched in, since last year because of injuries. So it's his first time out. You're probably going to get a pitch count. You're probably not going to get his best stuff. Mets are more than capable of hitting a guy like this and scoring runs. And the Mets are a team that runs the bases, likes to steal, so you can even build runs if you're the Mets. And the other side, Carrasco, I think you mentioned it, but he's been a disaster, an absolute disaster. And the Cubs have a lineup more than capable of going long and scoring runs against him. So to me, 8 in Wrigley Field and 14-mile-an-hour winds. They're not gale force winds. And Pete Alonso will hit it out of any park with a 14-mile-an-hour wind. So will Cody Bellinger. There's guys on both sides that can do it. But just because there's wind doesn't mean you still don't get hits. Sometimes I wonder that people take this wind too serious. If it's blowing out, I understand playing over, but blowing in, I never really understood playing under as heavily as people do. I think 8.5 in Wrigley is an extremely low number with these two guys on the hill. And if you get into middle relief here, Ski, quickly, say Hendricks is on a 65 pitch count or something, he runs through that in 3 2/3. Man, you don't want the Cubs middle relief, and you don't really want the Mets middle relief either if Carrasco stinks it up. So you've got a lot of ways to score runs in this game. You're asking basically, get me to 4-4, and then I don't care. I can shut the TV off. I don't have to watch anymore because somebody's going to win. I don't think that's really out of the realm of possibility. So to me, I played it over. I think it's a pretty solid play.
And that sounds like a good bet to me. I could get to the window with this Mets Cubs over, and I do see 8 still available out there. So um, take advantage. Good stuff here today, Rob. We talked a little bit of WNBA, we talked some NBA, a little bit of MLB. Now it's that time of the show where I ask you if there's anything that you would like to promote, and maybe something that we talked about you like a little bit more than the rest.
All right, so let's get to promotion because it's Thursday Ski, and where we do a lot of our work, wagertalk.com. It's Throwback Thursday. Every Thursday's half price. So if you're interested in selection packages for tonight's NBA, maybe you like NHL or MLB, all plays from all handicappers half price over at wagertalk.com. Again, if you're not currently a member, all you have to do is leave your email address and you'll have instant free access to all the video and written content provided each and every day on every sport by the handicappers at wagertalk.com, including Ski and myself. If you're looking for my selections here tonight, I have 2 best bets from the NBA up and available right now. Once again, wagertalk.com. I also played a couple of MLB games. So you can get it all daily, wagertalk.com. All right, let's get to it here. Here's one that I have up there, and I'll use it here on the show. I like the Celtics first half, Ski. They're 4.5-point favorites first half. Just feel like the confidence and the energy is supposed to be there tonight against a team. I don't want to play first quarter because Miami will run their starters out there first quarter. And, where the starters are concerned, Boston has gotten off to a couple of sluggish starts. And in fact, playing them first half, if you're just going over what's happened in this series, Miami's won 3 of the 4 first halves. The only first half Boston won was game 1, 66-57 in that opener. That was real high scoring. But I think circumstances have changed somewhat. Balance of power has shifted somewhat. We talked about the win in Miami and also the injury to Gabe Vincent. I think both of those are important here. And Boston, to me, you mentioned Jaylen Brown's quote, and there's been a couple of them out of Boston that seem a little more positive than what we were seeing just a couple of days ago. So give me the Celtics. I played it as a client release. I played it myself. I laid 4.5 first half. We'll go that way. Celtics first half -4.5.
And I think that's a good way to bet if you like the Celtics there. Get in and get out before, those second half SPO adjustments. start to happen. So I like that. For myself, best bet, I will go to the WNBA and I'll take the Aces and the Sparks over 171. I just think it'll be extremely up tempo game, and I don't think it's. I think it's more like over 180 type of a game, and 171 is a high total, but I just think it's not high enough. So best bet for the show: Aces Sparks over 171. Rob, it's good to be back talking these games out with you. Always appreciate you taking the time to do that with me. Um, love breaking the games down with you. To everybody in the chat, we appreciate you as well. A lot of good information, and we got to do it more because I always miss the chat. You guys make it a good time and have me laughing as well. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you like the show, hit the like button. If you would like to know when we go live, hit the subscribe and you'll get those notifications. And as always, best of luck on all of your action. We will catch you guys again tomorrow.